and welcome back to the last scientific talk for today. It is held by Gwenn Vo Van-Regnault from the French Agency for Food, Environmental and Occupational Health, and in her talk she will introduce you to a couple of national vigilance systems and discuss their use for consumer protection. We are very glad that we are having you in this conference, and welcome to France. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you. Thank you for this nice introduction and for the invitation to speak today. And thank you to all you previous speakers who have given a detailed picture of the situation. And I'm going to talk about the Nutrivigilance of food supplement in Europe. I will speak about food supplement in general, but of course they can contain superfoods, novel ingredients, and so on. This presentation is based on an article entitled The Need for European Harmonization of Nutrivigilance in a Public Health Perspective, a comprehensive review that we published in 2021 with 9 colleagues from Portugal, Croatia, Czech Republic, Slovenia, Italy, Denmark, and France. And I warmly thank each of them for their contribution. My presentation will be divided into 4 parts. The first part with some words on food supplement legislation and risk. It will be a brief summary of the previous presentations. Then I will focus on existing national vigilance systems for food supplements. Thirdly, I will give you an overview of existing European systems for reporting on food safety, on food supplement safety. And in the last part, I will highlight the need for a European Nutrivigilance system. So some words on food supplement European legislation. In Europe, there is no harmonization of food supplement compositions. There is no positive or negative list, nor safety limits for most substances, plants, and algae. To illustrate the heterogeneity of the situation in Europe, I can give you the example of the regulatory status of melatonin. For example, in France, Latvia, Portugal, the daily dose authorized is 2 milligrams. In Slovenia, it's 0.5. In Germany, it's 0.28. And in Denmark and Czech Republic, melatonin is forbidden in food supplement as it is considered as drug. Thus, an ingredient found acceptable in one European country may even be forbidden in another. And despite this, all these products may be available all across Europe, owing to the free cross-border movement and the internet. In addition to the lack of harmonization of food supplement compositions, there is no harmonization of pre-marketing obligation without common pre-market placement rules. This does not include novel food, of course. Thus, in Europe, most countries established a notification system, some established an authorization system, and some have no pre-marketing obligation at all. Moreover, there is no harmonization of post-marketing surveillance. And in addition to this, there is no pre-marketing efficacy studies needed. And even if there is the European regulation on claims on botanicals, you know now, are still placed on hold. And lastly, the European legislation does not impose obligation to undertake pre-marketing safety studies for food supplements, but it's the responsibility of the manufacturer to ascertain that the product is safe. However, under certain conditions, food supplements, often perceived as safe, can expose the consumer to the risk. Indeed, most people think that food supplements are natural and that natural things are safe. Nevertheless, many articles and many reported cases of adverse effect indicate that risk may be associated with the consumption of food supplements. These risks may be linked to the intrinsic toxicity of the ingredients of the food supplements. For instance, red yeast rice is used in many food supplements, claiming to maintain a normal level of cholesterol. It contains monocholine K that has a chemical structure identical to lovastatin and as expected consequences has the same risk profile of standard cholesterol-lowering medicinal treatments. In fact, as statins, the red rice can expose consumer to muscle or liver damage. This intrinsic toxicity depends on the ingredient, the dose, and consumer sensitivity. Risk may be related to interaction between food supplements or between food supplements and drugs. For example, the example of piperine that can impact the bioavailability of drugs was given earlier this morning, The risk may be related to intentional adulteration. Indeed, unscrupulous manufacturers may deliberately adulterate food supplements with medicinal substances in order to increase their efficacy. For example, weight loss supplements, sexual performance enhancer supplements, athletic performance enhancement supplements. And adulteration exposes the consumer to the adverse effects of the medicinal substance. And another kind of risk is the risk related to accidental contamination or replacement of harmless species of plants with toxic alternative. You already showed it earlier. Most of European countries register food supplement adverse effects through an undedicated vigilance system as pharmacovigilance or a poison control center. Thus, these adverse effects are lost among thousands of other adverse effects related to other kinds of products. Considering what I previously said on legislation, and in order to detect risk related to food supplements, 7 countries have implemented a dedicated vigilance system. This is the 7 countries with such a system. For each, the administration in charge of the system is indicated, and the number of reports from the creation of each system until 2019 or 20 or until now is indicated. The oldest system was created in Italy in 2002. Followed by France, Denmark, Portugal, Czech Republic, Slovenia, and Croatia. These systems aim to protect consumers by early warning in case of life-threatening effect or near miss, cases that could have been serious if no action had been undertaken. It allows the rapid implementation of management measures as market withdrawal, for instance. Moreover, such systems allow to launch health risk assessments to help decision makers to implement management measures when needed, regulation, usage restriction, labeling obligation, market withdrawal. These risk assessments are published on website and or in scientific or general praise to inform the consumer. This post-marketing monitoring is an essential source of information, as often few or no human studies are available in the literature for food supplement ingredients. I'm going now to give you some examples among a large number of risk assessments published by the 7 countries. This is the first page of the French opinion on the risk associated with the presence of food supplements in food supplements of synephrine. Following this opinion, restrictions have been added in the French regulation, setting out the list of plants authorized in food supplements. Taking into account the outcome of the opinion, these restrictions specify that for citrus aurantium, the ingested synephrine should be less than 20 mg per recommended daily dose. Labeling must include a warning against use by children, pregnant, or breastfeeding women, and in case of antihypertensive treatment. And caffeine sources are not allowed in food supplement containing citrus aurantium. This opinion is published in English on our website. The Czech Institute of Public Health published news following reports of adverse effects after consuming, for example, food supplement containing chlorella and spirulina. The Slovenian Institute of Public Health published reports of presence of octopamine and related unauthorized ingredients in food supplement for sports. Following these reports, the Health Inspectorate has requested the withdrawal of them from the Slovenian market. Based on the reported adverse effect or risk assessments of certain ingredients, the Danish Food Institute published papers, as for example this paper on raspberry ketone. And the last example concerns Italy, which published a risk assessment and this article following the reception of 28 cases of hepatitis associated with turmeric containing food supplements. This is some examples. These systems share a number of similarities. First, it's all it's an online reporting. It's a voluntary based. The reporters are healthcare professionals, manufacturers, or consumers, and the systems faced with underreporting. So, I often say that reported cases are only the tip of the iceberg. Some articles suggest that only 1% of food supplement adverse effects are reported. Why is such underreporting phenomenon? First, these systems are insufficiently known by the consumer and healthcare professionals. The reporting is non-mandatory. Very often, the health professional is unaware that the patient is consuming food supplements, either because the question is not asked by the healthcare professional, or because the patient doesn't think to mention it. Lastly, the food supplement is not suspected by the consumer or health professional, as they are considered as natural. And there is two very important differences between the systems. There is no harmonization of the data collection, and the severity and causality assessment are based on different methods. And unfortunately, these differences do not allow for easy and efficient exchanges between countries. I will now quickly introduce you to 3 existing European systems for reporting on food supplement safety. First, the International Nutrivigilance Network has been launched in 2014 by France, and since then it's still driven by France. It includes 27 European countries plus Brazil and EFSA as an observer. The aim of this network is to exchange information on nutrivigilance, and in practice this means a monthly newsletter. The next newsletter, the July newsletter, will be the number 94. Unfortunately, no further meetings could be held since then due to lack of funding. The Rapid Alert System for Food and Feed, RAS, is a tool established in 1979. It enables the quick and effective exchange of information between member states and the European Commission when risks to human and animal health are detected in the food and feed chain. There is a category entitled dietetic foods, food supplements, and fortified food. And as you can see from the graph, notifications in this category are mostly linked to unauthorized substances or ingredients, unauthorized novel foods, or high content of ingredients. And for example, between 2003 and 2016, only 13 RAS notifications of adverse reactions related to this category were reported. The EVENSOG RAS collect data on occurrence of unsafe foods or warn about finding of unauthorized constituent in foods, including food supplement. RAS is not dedicated to collection of adverse events in a harmonized manner or finding clusters of adverse effects more or less simultaneously in more countries. And mostly RAS will first be alerted when risk management has been performed. Thus, RAS seems not suitable for reporting food supplement adverse effects. The Emerging Risk Exchange Network, ERN, is run by EFSA since 2010. Emerging risk to human, animal, and/or plant health is understood as a risk resulting from a newly identified hazard to which a significant exposure may occur, or from an unexpected new or increased significant exposure and/or susceptibility to a known hazard. Between 2016 and 2019, 8 potential issues concerning food supplements were evaluated at ERN. For example, in 2019, thanks to its Nutrivigilance system, Italy presented a briefing note on the cases of hepatotoxicity associated with food supplement containing turmeric. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, the follow-up of this briefing note is unknown. Thus, national vigilance systems for food supplements could be a valuable source of information on emerging risk. Thus, at the moment, there is no optimal European system for monitoring the adverse effects of food supplements. This is why we think we need an harmonized European nutrivigilance system. To harmonize nutrivigilance systems in Europe, we need to harmonize the nutrivigilance requirements in European countries, the data collection, the severity and causality assessment methods. This will allow to have a common understanding and to facilitate exchanges of information. To further facilitate exchanges, the creation of a common and centralized database would certainly be relevant, as it already exists for medicinal products. What is expected from a European harmonized Nutrivigilance system? In practice, vigilance work can be like looking for gold in a river or a needle in a stack. Indeed, among the reports we receive, most are hopefully of low severity and do not require urgent action. But they can lead to the detection of a signal. And sometimes high severity cases with life-threatening effect or death are reported. Pooling all reports could allow to increase the reports number, to enhance the probability to detect a health risk earlier, and to strengthen health risk assessments with more data on adverse effects. All this leading to an improvement in public health. To improve, the final objective is to improve public health by helping decision makers to implement management measures when needed and to set or adjust legal requirements at the European or country levels. A European harmonized Nutrivigilance system will allow to achieve this objective more quickly and efficiently with less duplication of risk assessment. Thank you very much for your attention.